Hello, today's video is about the first finger. We're finally putting both hands together, and I hope that by now you've done at least a few exercises of chapter 1 very well. Things get complicated if you don't know which hand is making mistakes when things don't sound nice. So that's why I put such a heavy focus in the beginning on the right arm, the straight bowing, the nice sound. So when you start using your left hand and it doesn't sound nice, at least there is a bigger chance that you know that your left hand is going to be to blame. Maybe you're not pressing too hard enough or pressing too hard. Yeah. Now, about the first finger. You want your finger to come as much as possible from above. So all fingers, if you've done the preparation exercises, you'll know that all fingers have to point over your left shoulder. But at first digit, you want it to approach based on what you can see as you play the instrument. Yeah, it seems that it's almost that's straight. Yeah. So a bit like this. Now, I recommend definitely in the beginning to have your, when you hold the instrument, place your thumb a little bit beyond halfway the neck and the entire index finger above the fingerboard, so you have space to curl this finger down. If you hook under, then it doesn't work. And the flatter your finger is, the more you have to squeeze, and the more difficult it becomes to make a nice sound and stay relaxed. The more tensed you get here, the more your shoulders are going to tense up, the more difficult it's going to be to bow straight. It's a vicious circle. So learn to keep your elbow in and to place gently the finger from above. Yeah, don't hang from your instrument. Keep your arm up. Yes, it's tough in the beginning, but you easily get used to that if you pay attention. Okay, for the higher strings, I recommend you uncurl your thumb as you move to the higher strings. So I keep my elbow in and move my hand sideways, creating space at least from the D string, but preferably from the G string already. You stop squeezing the neck. The sideways squeeze is really doesn't help at all. It helps stabilize your hand and your position. It makes intonation a little bit easier, but it doesn't add anything to the quality of sound. It does slow you down, and the more you squeeze, the smaller the stretch. Now with the viola, the stretch tends to be quite big, so you want to avoid anything that's going to tense up your hand. So those are the things I would pay attention to. That's the reason why the opening of each exercise at the moment has a 2-beat rest between each note, so you have time to make sure that your elbow's in the right place. You gently place your finger and then you play the note. And try to experiment with just how little you can squeeze the string, yeah? The less energy you use, the better, as long as obviously you have a nice sound. If you don't press hard enough, you're going to get this squeaky kind of sounds. You want to avoid that. So you want a nice sound. Make sure your bow is straight, obviously. But it doesn't require a massive amount of downforce. It requires some. The bigger the string, obviously, the harder you will have to squeeze. But it's even then, it shouldn't be all that much. So very slowly, we're going to do this at 40, 60 and 80, this exercise. And each exercise goes from very slow, one note per bar to eventually 8 notes per bar, so it speeds up quite quickly, which is why I'm only doing 40, 60 and 80. It is for a little point because there's so many speed ups within the exercise. 50, 69, I've dropped those just to keep things efficient. Yeah, well, good luck. Here we go. So first 2 notes, oh yes, note names. So we have the 4 strings. I hope by now you know that C, G, D and A. Now the first finger is, we're going to place it a tone away from the end, so just over finger width between the end of the string here, that wooden block, and where your first finger will go. Now in the beginning it's a big gamble and guesswork. As you practice more and more, your body will remember where it has to go. Fine-tuning intonation is something that you will have to spend attention to every single day, but it becomes a habit to play in tune. But in the beginning it requires attention, so listen to the video or use a tuner to help you out to place the finger in exactly the right place, yeah, or close to exactly the right place. Yeah, so on the C string, C plus a tone, you end up on D. On the G string, G plus a tone is A. D string, it becomes E. And the A string, it becomes B. It's very straightforward in this case. All the natural notes are going to be a tone. So here we go, from C to D. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your time to place that finger nice and round. And lift, but a little only. Place it nice and round. And again. Make sure you keep the instrument up. Last time. Now without the rests, straight on. So that was a C string. The faster things go, make sure you don't lift your finger all the way off the fingerboard. Stay in touch with the instrument, keep your finger floating over the string that you use. And if you want to get in the habit of having a really good left arm, make sure your 4th finger floats over that string all the time. Yeah, it'll help you have a straight wrist. When you place the finger, your first priority should be make sure that your wrist doesn't move. You want to use just the finger that you're using. Of course, all the fingers are going to move a little bit maybe, but make sure that your wrist stays. You don't want any of these movements, because the further away your hand is, the more you're going to need a different position for each finger, and obviously that's not very practical. You need a hand position that will allow you to reach with all 4 fingers to a string without having to change things. Yeah, so straight wrist, relaxed approach, as relaxed as possible. and no unnecessary movements, which basically means no movements at all. Yeah. Okay, we continue to the G string, G and A. One, two, three, four. Place A and again. Now without the rests. Quarter notes. Now we go straight on to the D string, D and E. Same thing, and make sure your hand by now doesn't touch. You want to avoid this. If your thumb ever points to the left from your perspective, it's wrong. It either goes down or it relaxes and goes under the neck. Never ever squeeze like that, because you can't do that and still have a straight wrist. Okay? Just easy way to see, because you can't actually see your wrist, yeah? So ask for help if you need it. Anyway, D and E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't squeeze, and again. Make sure you keep your wrist relaxed, yeah? And keep the fourth finger floating over the string that you need. Without the rest now. Last, the A string, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. B next. Keep the fourth finger floating and the wrist straight. Relax. And that's it for this exercise. So the usual things apply: straight bowing, beautiful sound, and just concentrate for now that nothing moves that shouldn't. So it's just your fingers that go up and down. Don't spread too far, don't squeeze too hard, and never ever do that or that or this. Keep your elbow in on that means on the right side of the fingerboard. Yeah, doesn't have to be on the right side of the instrument, but under the right side of the instrument, so it's easier to come from above, and the whole finger above the fingerboard, so you can approach with a round finger even on the C string. Yeah, good luck, and we introduce the second finger obviously next. Take care, bye.